With us now to talk more about the other part of it, MSNBC contributor Paola Ramos and MSNBC senior political analyst Matthew Dowd, who was chief strategist for the 2004 Bush-Cheney campaign. Paola, let's talk a little bit about the issue of the abortion as a political issue. It's clearly one of the main issues on people's minds. How much do you think that is going to be what they keep in mind when they go vote in November?
Huge. I mean, think about the discussions that you were having yesterday around immigration, right? And how perhaps the issue of immigration could be President Biden's weakest point. Here we have reproductive justice, which we know that will mobilize voters. Why? Because it's not this foreign issue. It's not something that's based on perception. It's not something that's based on otherizing other folks. It's based on people's bodily autonomy. We've seen the way that it mobilizes folks. Just since Roe v. Wade was overturned, over 6 states have supported abortion rights at the ballot. You and I have talked, Jose, about the fact that for the first time ever, Latinos, for example, list abortion as one of the top issues. And what's happening right now is that at least 1 in 5 American voters are scared that this right to contraception, a fundamental right to privacy, that right can suddenly be taken away. So yes, it will absolutely mobilize people and perhaps outweigh the negatives that this immigration issue has caused.
Yeah, I mean, Matthew, talking about Paola, the issue of abortion in one way or another has been put on the ballot in many states for November. How significant will this issue, do you think, be come November 5th?
Well, I think I agree with Paola that it's going to be very significant in this, because ever since the Dobbs decision and every single election that's been had, whether it's the midterms, the presidential, or in special elections, it's been an important factor in what the turnout has been and what the results have been in this. And I would also add in this, a lot of people try to classify this, quote unquote, as a women's issue. And obviously women are particularly offended by having taken away reproductive freedoms. But it's also a men's issue. Just the same percentage of men support Roe versus Wade as the same percentage of women. So this is an issue that broadly affects the electorate. And the voters that you're going to need to win this election, if you're Joe Biden, are twofold. One, motivating Democratic voters, which this is profoundly important for. And 2, independent voters who overwhelmingly are worried about this reproductive freedom. The other part of this is you can wrap the abortion issue and reproductive freedom into a broader issue of preserving democracy and your own freedoms, whatever those freedoms happen to be.
Yeah, and Paola, let's talk a little bit about the issue you just mentioned. That this comes the same day that President Biden rolled out his new executive action on immigration. On the first day of his administration, the president stopped construction of Trump's border wall, rolled back so many other of Trump executive actions. What do you make of this new executive action?
I mean, Jose, I think you just said it right now. It is so remarkable to think about how we got here. Right. This is a president that before he started his administration said that he wanted to reinstate the United States as a safe haven for migrants and asylum seekers. He is the same president that said that remain in Mexico was inhumane. As you pointed out, he started his first days in office talking about DREAMers, comprehensive immigration reform, talking about how to end mass deportations. And here we are, almost 4 years later, with a president that is contemplating, and not even contemplating, that is willing and ready to shut down the border. And that language, right, the idea of those 4 words, shut down the border, like that language is too close to Trump. It's just simply too close to Trump. And that is why, to me, it's such a remarkable moment to take a step back and understand how did we get here? And more importantly, is it worth it?
Yeah, and Matthew, I mean, the fact is that this executive action will no doubt play a part in mitigating, in many ways, the Republicans' criticism of the president. And let's talk about some of that criticism, because he's getting it from both parties over this executive action. Here's some of what people have had to say.
Why did you wait until now if you were serious about doing it? The simple answer is he's not serious about securing the border.
Too little, too late. Mr. President, Joe Biden, this is too little, this is too late.
It is extremely disappointing that this White House would choose to double down on the previous administration's harmful and flawed immigration policies.
But Matthew, there are upsides politically for President Biden on this issue.
Well, you know, this is an issue that we've needed to solve for 30 years, right? Comprehensive immigration reform is absolutely important in this. everybody who's irrational in this knows that that needs to happen. Joe Biden knows that needs to happen. The problem is he keeps running into a brick wall. And I find it so hypocritical and ridiculous of Republicans to criticize the president when the president tried to pass bipartisan immigration reform and a border bill in the course of this, but they stopped it. It's akin to me of your house is on fire and President Biden says, let's all get together and put the house out. And the Republicans cut off the water supply and then say, why aren't you putting the house out? Why aren't you putting the fire in the house out in the course of this? That's what's so hypocritical about this. I think Joe Biden doesn't feel like in his campaign that this will be an advantage for him. I think he wants to neutralize a big advantage that Donald Trump has on this issue. But I think he's as frustrated as all of us, as many people. He wanted to do it through the legislative process. He didn't want to do it through executive order, but because of Republican inaction on this and an unwillingness to do anything about this, I think he felt his only step in an issue that is important to Americans to at least do something.